मैं सबसे पहले तो धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ सबको जो है such a short notice they all have joined and on this very important day. We have Dr. Ravinder Vora and we have Saurabh Singh. Then we have Indira ji. We have Dr. S.K. Sinha. He is here not as in an official capacity, but he's from the Central Water Commission. He is a director hydrology there. He is also there. Thank you for coming and joining, and I am sure that you will take our deliberations to a logical conclusion there in your capacity. राजेंद्र भाई, मैं आपसे शुरू करने की दरख्वास्त करता हूं क्योंकि आपके पास टाइम नहीं है। इसको हम रिकॉर्ड भी कर रहे हैं।
आज विश्व जल दिवस है। इस पर दीपक पर्वतियार ने और जल बिरादरी के बहुत सारे साथियों ने सबने मिलकर अलग अलग पूरे देश में और जहां जहां हमारे साथी हैं दुनिया में मिलकर ये जो 21वीं शताब्दी की आर्थिक प्रतियोगिता की जो दुनिया है, इसमें जल की सुरक्षा की दुनिया बनाने के लिए जल साक्षरता का एक सुंदर सा अभियान चलाया है। आज मैं सुबह से देख रहा हूं कि देश दुनिया में ये जो आर्थिक प्रतियोगिता की ऊंची बड़ी दीवारें हैं, उन ऊंची बड़ी दीवारों से हम थोड़े से लोग जो जल की सुरक्षा चाहते हैं, दुनिया में सबको जीने के लिए, सबकी जीविका के लिए और सबके जमीन के लिए, सबको जल मिल सके, इस सुरक्षा के लिए लगे हुए लोग आज की और इस 21वीं शताब्दियों की चुनौतियों से रूबरू हो रहे हैं, जूझ रहे हैं। इस काम में हमारे दीपक पर्वतियार जैसे अंतरराष्ट्रीय पत्रकार, हमारी इंदिरा खुराना जैसी बहन जो नदियों के लिए, पानी के लिए, और प्रकाश राव जैसे, राजेंद्र पोद्दार जैसे और विभूति सब लोग, जिस तरह से डॉक्टर रविंद्र बोरा, सब लोग मिलकर अपनी अपनी भूमिका में जल और जीवन के रिश्तों को स्थापित कर रहे हैं। डॉक्टर रविंद्र बोरा जब खड़े होते हैं तो बोलते हैं कि नदी की हेल्थ, वाटर की हेल्थ और ह्यूमन हेल्थ, इनके रिश्तों को समझे बिना ये 21वीं शताब्दी अच्छी नहीं हो सकती। जब इंदिरा बहन कहती हैं तो कहती हैं नीर नारी नदी नारायण है, सबका सम्मान होगा तभी ये दुनिया पानीदार बनेगी। दीपक पर्वतियार जब खड़े होते हैं पानी के लिए बोलते हैं तो कहते हैं कि ये पानी सबका है, सबको मिलना चाहिए, सबके जीवन के लिए जरूरी है। तो ये जो सब साथी अपनी अपनी क्षमताओं से, अपनी अपनी कुशलताओं से, अपनी अपनी योग्यताओं से पानी के काम में लगे हैं, मैं इस विश्व जल दिवस पर आप सब साथियों को, आप सब मित्रों को सबसे पहले तो अपने हृदय से बधाई देना चाहता हूं। ये आज बधाई का दिन है, खुशी का दिन है। और ये जल दिवस एक दिन मनाने के लिए नहीं होता। जल दिवस तो हमारे जीवन में हर क्षण मनाना होता है। इस बार संयुक्त राष्ट्र संघ ने अदृश्य को दृश्यवान बनाने के लिए, जल जो अदृश्य हो रहा है उसको दृश्यवान बनाने के लिए जो ये साल घोषित किया है विश्व जल का, इस साल में हम सब साथी लोग दृश्यवान तभी बना सकते हैं जब हम धरती का पेट पानी से भरेंगे। यदि हमारी धरती का पेट पानी से खाली होगा तो फिर हमें जीने के लिए हमारे पेट को भी पानी नहीं होगा। तो यदि हम सब पेड़ पौधों का, जीव जंतुओं का, नदियों का जो पानी का समान अधिकार है, जल का समान अधिकार है, उस जल के समान अधिकार के लिए हम जल साक्षरता को बढ़ाने और जल की समझ और शक्ति को जगाने की जरूरत है। इस जल दिवस पर मैं अपने सब साथियों से ये कहना चाहता हूं और खासकर दीपक जी को ये बताना चाहता हूं कि हम लोगों को आप इस पूरी दुनिया को जल को समझने, समझाने, सहेजने और इसकी लूट को रोकने, प्रदूषण को रोकने, अतिक्रमण को रोकने के लिए सत्याग्रह तक जाने की तैयारी में जुटना होगा। मैं जानता हूं कि दीपक, तुम अपने ग्लोबल बिहारी की तरफ से और जो भी आपकी शक्तियां हैं, एक जल साक्षरता का, नदी साक्षरता का एक अभियान चला रहे हैं। इस अभियान से आप जरा ये कोशिश करें कि इस देश में भारत सरकार कैसे हमारे शिक्षा क्रम में, शिक्षा के पाठ्यक्रम में जल को एक जरूरी विषय की तरह पढ़ाना शुरू करे, और सब राज्यों में सब म्युनिसिपल कॉरपोरेशन अपनी नदियों की नीति बनाए और नदियों को शुद्ध सदा निरापद बनाने के लिए, नदियों का अतिक्रमण, प्रदूषण और शोषण रोकने के लिए उनके विद्यालयों में जो शिक्षी जाए। जब तक वो शिक्षा हमारी अगली पीढ़ी से, हमारे सबसे ज्यादा नुकसान होगा कि हम केवल प्रतियोगिता में ही, आर्थिक प्रतियोगिता के ही शिकार होते रहेंगे। इसलिए हम यदि आर्थिक प्रतियोगिता के शिकार होने से बचना चाहते हैं और जल की सुरक्षा चाहते हैं, जल से सबकी सेहत का रक्षण, संरक्षण और सबको पोषण मिले, वैसे यदि हम व्यवस्था बनाना चाहते हैं, तो फिर हमें एक नई विद्या की जरूरत है, और वो नई विद्या होगी जल की विद्या। जल की विद्या पोषण की होती है। विद्या वो होती है जो अनुभव से अनुभूत होकर दूसरों के साथ बांटते हैं, दूसरों के साथ साझा करते हैं। इसलिए हमें शिक्षा नीति में जल की विद्या और जल के पाठ्यक्रम आरंभ करने की जरूरत है। हम सब लोग जल के पाठ्यक्रम सब जगह, सब, और उसमें इंसान और नदी और जल के रिश्तों की पढ़ाई हो, और हम सब जल के रक्षण संरक्षण के काम में जुटे। बस आज इतना ही। सबको बधाई। और दीपक भाई, आप जरा एक बड़ा अभियान अपने अपने मीडिया हाउस से शुरू करने, जिसमें नदियों की साक्षरता का एक अभियान चले और जल की साक्षरता आगे बढ़े। जय हिंद।
हिंद राजेंद्र भाई, आपने बहुत अच्छे सुझाव दिए हैं और ये सरकारी लेवल पे भी हम लोग इसको कोशिश करेंगे ले जाने का। जो आपने जो जल साक्षरता की जो बात की है और इसको कॉलेज यूनिवर्सिटी में कैसे ले जाना चाहिए, इसकी आपने बात की है, और ज़रूर इसको हम लोग आगे ले जाएंगे। हमारे साथ यहाँ पे लोग हैं जो इसमें समर्थ हैं, जो ले जा सकते हैं, इसको सरकार तक पहुँचा सकते हैं। हमारे साथ डॉक्टर SK सिन्हा भी जुड़े हैं राजेंद्र भाई, जो डायरेक्टर हाइड्रोलॉजी हैं इसमें सेंट्रल वाटर कमीशन में।
हाँ, स्वागत है उनका, बहुत अच्छा
जी। और बाकी लोग धीरे धीरे करके जुड़ेंगे। आज अभी मैं भी यहाँ धारवाड़ में बहुत अच्छा प्रोग्राम हुआ है, करीब 1,500-2 हजार लोग आए हैं यहाँ पे। और काफी
राजेंद्र पोद्दार ने मरी हुई वाल्मीकि को जिंदा किया है।
हाँ, मैंने वो बात, उस बात का जिक्र किया यहाँ अपने भाषण में। वो मैंने कहा, बताया लोग और कहा इस बात को। और अब जो है मैं जो हूँ, अब सौरभ जी को आमंत्रित करता हूँ। सौरभ जी को आमंत्रित करता हूँ। Saurabh is a chief functionary, Inner Voice Foundation functions at Camero Community Arsenic Mitigation and Research Organization, and he has done extensive research on the arsenic component in groundwater, I think in eastern UP as well as in Bihar. So welcome Saurabh ji, please can you go ahead?
My presentation is about the groundwater contamination of arsenic and our arsenic mitigation campaign in villages of Gangetic Belt in last 17 years.
Yeah.
So as we know, the arsenic was discovered in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar in 2004 by SOES, School of Environmental Sciences, Jadavpur University, Professor Dipankar.
1 minute. Yeah, Miss Anitha Shyam has also joined. She is in the meeting. She is the director of Central Groundwater Board in Bengaluru. And welcome Anitha ji. Can you hear us? I have to interrupt Saurabh, sorry, because she is also busy in another conference. We have some time, so maybe we will allow her to speak first, and then we can go ahead with your presentation.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Welcome, Anitha ji. Welcome to our program.
Namaste, sir.
Yeah, actually, okay, let me introduce Ms. Anitha Shyam ji. In the morning, we were together, and she is the head of Central Groundwater Board in Karnataka. She is based in Bangalore, and she is on her way to some place. So she has joined us on her mobile. So, and Anitha ji, we have many eminent personalities here right now. Dr. Rajendra Singh just completed his speech, his keynote speech, where he stressed on the need to introduction of courses on water in universities. We have Mr. Prakash Rao. He is the chairman of Telangana State Water Development Commission. And then we have Ms. Indira Khurana, Dr. Indira Khurana. She is a very well-known environmentalist and author, and she is the chair of the Ganga River Basin Council. We have Dr. S.K. Sinha. He is from the Central Water Commission. He is director hydrology there. Then we have Dr. Ravindra Vora. Is a very well-known name in this water-related diseases. He has done authentic research on that, and he is a pediatric surgeon, first pediatric surgeon of Maharashtra outside Mumbai. And then we have Mr. Saurabh Singh. Saurabh Singh has done extensive work on arsenic content in water, groundwater, in eastern UP and Bihar. We have Mr. Kumar Janendra. He is an engineer and environmental scientist. Yes. And so, without taking much time, I invite you to speak a few lines, and I'm sure that your input will add value to our program. Anitha ji, please go ahead.
Celebrations for the year 2022. So, as we all know that groundwater is now meeting around 50% of the drinking water needs of the world, and also of the 40% of the irrigation needs of the world. And as far as our country, India is concerned, we know that around 85% of rural India domestic water is met from groundwater, and 65% from 65% of urban India also meets its drinking water needs from groundwater, and another 55% of the irrigation needs also met from groundwater, and so also another huge amount for the industry also. When we look at it, we find that so there's the topic of taking groundwater, which is actually a invisible resource, and making it visible. It's an apt topic, and we know that we can't access groundwater unless we make the hole and dig a well and get it. But on the other hand, this invisible resource is always there, visible, and we are making use of it for sustaining the life on Earth, isn't it? Without water, life cannot sustain. So we know that it is a lifeline of the Earth, and I find that what happened is that in the beginning we were taking out the only as per what our need, because we were drawing water, extracting water using dug wells, and bucket and rope was our mode of extraction. Because of that, we were just using or extracting only what we needed. But as and when technology developed and as the need of mankind increased, we gradually shifted over to bore wells, and there were shallow bore wells, and then later on we went on to the deeper bore wells, which are extracting water from deeper and deeper depths. And also that the pumps also, they also advanced to submersible and other highly advanced pumps which are able to extract more water. Now, what happens is that the water which is going inside the natural recharge is always taking place, but what happens is that we are taking more water than what is being recharged. So as time passes, from a comfortable position, we change over to a position where so many of the blocks got developed or overdeveloped, overexploited, rather we call. That is, we are taking out more water than what that is going in. So that what happens is that the dynamic water is getting finished before the season lapses. So what happens is that we have more dry wells and the overdeveloped situation has begun to exist. In Karnataka, for instance, there are around 52 taluks which are overexploited as on date. As per the latest groundwater resource estimation, 2020, we are having 52 blocks which are in the overexploited situation. So why this situation is happening is because of the overdevelopment, and now we know that people talk of war and conflicts. Like morning, Sir was also talking this. That is because without life, without water, we cannot exist. But at the same time, all the people need. Hence, this situation going to a conflicting stage. But we can also look at it in a different way. Like instead of now we have more or less developed. Now we should look at how to manage it. That is this what our needs. That is that we must have a change in our strategy of looking at the water problem. We must learn to manage this these problems. So mainly it is, I think it's to rather than conflict, you can go for a cooperation among the different stakeholders. So that assess the need of the each and every stakeholder, and then cooperate among the people so that it is available as and when required. So that is, I think, based on the demand, we can manage the supply. So that is what it should be. There should be prioritize the needs, like where for drinking purpose alone we need fresh and pure water. On the other hand, for other domestic purposes like cleaning the cars or watering the plants and all, we don't require. So that we can prioritize the needs in each sector, and then based on the need, we can control the supply, and so that it is available for each and every sector. So that is what our water warriors like our Rajendra Singh sir and all the other many other water warriors in this field have rightfully shown us how simply it can be managed. You should develop all the recharging bodies, clean it when it is dry, so that remove the silt, so allow the water to penetrate and to recharge, and at the same time take out the water which we need only, and also as and when we need, and not go for don't use it as free. So some along these things are developed in that way. That is why we have got to a very, very, very pathetic situation. If all the people join hands and come out with their cooperative attitude, I think to a limited extent or to a large extent, we will be able to manage this water and bring it into a sustainable position. So that is my small, humble view, sir. I will wind up with this words. Thank you, sir.
Such a short notice, and I know that your presence here is for a very short duration. So if you have any others, if they have any question, will you be able to take up some questions?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, if you have any question, please go ahead, anybody, one by one. If you have any question for Ms. Anitha Shyam ji. Prakash ji, do you have any question?
Point of view, I would like to ask, Madam, what are the major challenges in recharging groundwater? From her,
Actually,
any initiatives from the government side?
so actually, recharging groundwater recharge is always taking place. This natural recharge is always taking place. But because of the slow pace and because of the high rate of extraction, we are not able to meet the demand. So, but for recharging, actually, there are 2 or 3 conditions. One is that the post-monsoon water level should be deep. At least it should be 8-meter depth. Post-monsoon water level, because there should be space for us to recharge. Second is that we should be having sufficient source water for recharging. That is uncommitted, because already we are having check dams. So many other surface structures are there. For that, water is required. So what if we are taking a watershed, we must find out how much of rainfall received, and after the allowing for the runoff and also for the structures, then how much water we are having to recharge. So that is the uncommitted source water should be available. Then third is that this aquifers must be also permeable. That is, we must be able to recharge the aquifers. So based on these conditions, we can go for artificial recharge, and whether it is in a rural terrain or in a urban terrain. For rural terrain, there are different types, and then for urban terrain also there are different types. Then we can also go for rooftop rainwater harvesting. But we should be having uncommitted water, because in Karnataka, for instance, we are having very little rainfall. The rainfall is so many 50% of districts are drought bound. So we don't have much uncommitted source water for recharging, although we have space for recharging. So these are some of the main drawbacks for recharging. We should have sufficient amount of this weathered space available for recharging, and also we should have sufficient amount of uncommitted source water for recharging, and appropriate site also should be available. Like for instance, if you are constructing a check dam, sir.
Yeah, please continue.
We for
Please
instance,
go ahead.
Generally we construct check dams now for recharging in the river bed and in the side floodplains also. So when we don't have it at the this hard rock now at the shallow depth, what happens? There will be leakage underneath, and we won't be able to store the water. And ultimately, check dams will not hold water. Things such as those site specific, it should be always when we go for artificial recharge structures. So many artificial recharge structures are there. Yeah, all the structures cannot be constructed in all the places. So it is always site specific. Unless the person who is doing that, no, sometimes it won't be successful. That's all, sir. Thank you.
Anitha ji, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
My question is that how much do you involve community in such exercises, in identifying the locations? You talked of the porosity of rocks. So I think the traditional wisdom is there, and all people know about it, the old timers, about which rock is porous and where they can help you, which is otherwise difficult to gather information about. So how are you going about this, and how are you involving the community in the recharging exercises? Thank you.
Sir, actually now we are having one taluk, Gauri Bidanur, one taluk in Karnataka, in Chikballapur district, where we have taken up the entire taluk for artificial recharge based on our National Aquifer Mapping Studies. Based on the recommendation, it has been done. But it is not implemented by us. It is implemented by the NREGA. First we are giving training to the local community on how to select site selection and all the details. And further, for some one or two sites, we are also going and actually selecting. After that, they get trained on all those details. So then they are doing it by themselves. And whenever any technical guidance required, only it is being given. So now they have constructed around 21 check dams. There are actually 103 check dams lined up for that entire taluk, sir. Then we always do this training programs are there for our, whenever we complete one taluk area, then we do the training program on two levels, sir. One is for the government concerned departments, that is a tier 2 training program, it is called. Again for tier 3 for the local grassroots workers who are going to be involved, how to maintain all those things are done. It is only a general. But whenever a structure is done, then it will be a awareness program is carried out to involve the people, and it is always handed over to the people for maintenance and further functioning.
Being an expert on the contamination of groundwater, yeah, if you have any question. Yeah, actually, she is in the midst of another meeting and she has joined us. She has to leave, doctor. So we will take questions in her case, and after that we'll take questions at the end of the session.
Okay.
Because she has to leave. So if you have any question, Dr. Ravinder Vora is an expert on this contamination related issues and the diseases related with water contamination. If he has any question, please go ahead. Saurabh ji, if you have any question, please go ahead. There are some others also. I think some environmental students are also here. They have some questions. They can please go ahead, but one at a time, please. We have a very small crowd, but very important crowd we have here. Yeah. So who would like to start? Saurabh, should you start with your question?
Deepak can ask one question.
Yeah, you have Sudeep is a journalist. He is a very senior journalist. He has worked in 5 countries and he has worked in the Gulf. So he knows, he is very well versed in the problems of water scarcity. Please go ahead, Sudeep, please ask the question.
Yeah, my name is Sudeep Sonane. I'm speaking from Surat, Gujarat. Ma'am, my question to you is, what are the primary sources of water contamination?
Primary sources means water contamination is actually categorized into 2. One is geogenic and the other is man-made. That is like nitrate is mostly it is anthropogenic, whereas fluoride is. I am talking about drinking water. Fluoride is generally it is geogenic. It can be some fluorapatite or some such minerals can be released into the water based on the alkalinity and acidity. It might be released into the water. And the other major contaminant for drinking water is then iron is there. Iron BEVO limit about 0.3 milligram. Then we consider it's not actually pollutant. Only it will be not aesthetic for drinking and for other cooking purposes. Then apart from that, this generally salinity should be less than 3,000 microsiemens for drinking purpose. Normally it is 1,000, but if it is less than 3,000 in areas like Karnataka where water is most of the areas are drought prone, it is accepted. So then there are the heavy metals like that arsenic and then these are the main pollutants which we find for drinking water purposes. So what I really did not know is what is the source of contamination you are asking, no, sir? Can be geogenic or can be
I'm
anthropogenic.
asking, the corollary to this question is, what is the government's budget earmarked for to resolve this?
How much?
What is the government budget earmarked to resolve this problem?
That actually I am unable to answer that question, sir, because we are not getting any budget like that. We are having we are taking this national aquifer mapping studies are ongoing for us now. We are taking each taluk wise we are doing. In the last 10 years, we have been doing that. So we have completed around 63% for Karnataka. We are identifying all the problems and also giving the solutions. And we are making the plan or the report, and then we are submitting it to the state government and to the concerned DCs and all the other concerned organizations for implementation, sir. Actually, we are not implementing it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So I'll be talking about the arsenic contamination in the Gangetic villages, mainly in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Arsenic contamination in Gangetic district in Uttar Pradesh, in Bihar, in Jharkhand, in Bengal. If you talk about the Gangetic belt, you will find the major cities like Alwar, Varanasi, Gazipur, Balia, Gorakhpur, Unnao, Chandauli, affected with the arsenic. Bihar, then Bhojpur is the worst affected. Bhojpur, Buxar, Patna, Bhagalpur, Munger, Kagadia. They are the worst affected districts in the Bihar. This is 49 districts of the state in Uttar Pradesh has arsenic. It is a UNICEF report. 29 districts in Bihar are severely arsenic affected. And overall 100 districts in India have this problem. In the Gangetic belt, the groundwater consists of groundwater-based hand pumps are used by 80% of the residents. So the biggest problem to arsenic contamination today is the public health issue, rising public health. In the Gangetic belt, you will find more than 5,000 cancer villages. By cancer villages, we mean that Sometimes more than 50% of the population, they have severe health issues in these arsenic affected villages. And more than 80% of these issues are carcinogenic. Arsenic causes slow death because people have been drinking arsenic for 20 years, and when it goes into their blood and their bodies and their skins, it causes huge damage which cannot be retrieved. So the major health burden of arsenic includes skin lesions, cancer of bladder, kidney, lungs, liver, polyneuropathy, encephalopathy, vascular disorders, high blood pressure, heart and lung disease, stillbirth, and other things. You can see some of the markings, the skin lesions on the dorsal hand and the sole of the feet. We have a patient from the Gangetic village. He's from the Varanasi district, he's from the Balia district, and both of them died due to arsenic. You see the pigmentation, the disease. So this is the problem in Gangetic belt. And unfortunately, we have not been able to provide any respite to these people. Even 20 years have been passed, and there are many new schemes which government has launched. I'll share one case study of Mr. Dubey from one district in Uttar Pradesh. This is Mr. Dubey. 2 persons from his family died due to arsenic problem. They had to sell their entire agricultural land for the treatment and meeting of the treatment cost, buying medicine, and they had to travel to the Varanasi and Patna for getting treatment, because in nearby hospitals, arsenic patients, there were no skin specialist or a neuro specialist. There are also problems of people migrating from these villages to other places. There are also problems of social ostracization, like marriages, finding match for marriages and other issues. And in many of these villages, the level of arsenic is like 500 ppb, 1000 ppb. And it's still very difficult to get your water tested for arsenic and other issues, because the testing lab facilities are not restrained, and government is trying, and there are many new schemes coming up. So the way forward includes, what we feel that in villages there is a lack of awareness, because arsenic water, when arsenic is mixed with water, it doesn't make any difference to taste, smell, or color. So people continue drinking same water. So there is a need to launch a large-scale awareness program involving communities and as well as other agencies working in this sector. There are so many surface water bodies. People can use water from the surface sources, but for that we need to clean water for bacteriological contamination. Cleaning water for bacteriological contamination is possible today compared to removing arsenic from the groundwater, because I'm working in this field for the last 17 years. I have not seen any foolproof technology by which we can remove arsenic from water. Also in villages, we need regular monitoring of all drinking water sources, because the arsenic is always mobilizing inside the earth, and we cannot see, we cannot predict anything. So there is a need to test all drinking water sources in such villages at least twice in a year. Also, we need to train doctors, because many of the doctors, they are not able to, especially in smaller towns and in villages, they are not able to diagnose arsenic patients. So they need kind of orientation programs. We also need to enhance treatment facility at district hospitals. There should be some testing equipment for carcinogenic and arsenic elements in human body for early detection and appropriate treatment. We also need low cost water treatment options in these villages. So these are the basic issues which I wanted to highlight. And I would also like to talk about the fact that we approached the National Human Rights Commission twice, because in Uttar Pradesh, in many districts, we found people who are drinking arsenic water, and this is the basic violation of human rights. So National Human Rights Commission has issued certain guidelines, and I'll request all the state government, PhDs and journalism to pay attention to that. Also, in many schools, we found that small kids, children were drinking arsenic water, poisonous water from the school tap, which is again a violation of human rights. And when we approached Jal Jeevan Mission, last year they issued a blanket ban on using school water testing facilities without installing RO in Anganwadi and in primary school. So these are the some steps we have been able to bring out in this sector. And we also have lots of audio-visual programs, literature for making people aware in arsenic-affected villages. We have doctors in our team, neurologists and dermatologists. And we organize regular health camp in arsenic-affected villages where we screen patients, we tell them about the water and health nexus, how they can use homegrown vegetables and nutritious food to avoid this kind of contamination. So this is a very small presentation, and if there is any question, I would like to take up. Deepak?
Yeah, thank you, Saurabh, for your valuable inputs. And of course, I also have a question, but before I ask you if others have any question, I would like to give a chance to others. Anyone? Prakash ji? Ravindra Voraji? Yeah, Prakash. Prakash ji is the chairperson of Telangana State Water Development Corporation. He has done splendid work there, and of course, with his experience, he must be having many questions.
Yeah, Saurabh ji, congratulations for your wonderful work doing particularly in Bengal, Bihar, and other places. We are very fortunate by having you in our Hyderabad convention, national convention, and yeah, to ask questions. But only one request from my side. You please, when are you available in Delhi? When you are available in Delhi, I will connect you to some Rajya Sabha members. They are eagerly waiting for on the pollution in the main rivers. They would like to ask.
Being recorded. To solve the details for that, whenever possible, whenever we are meeting next time in Delhi.
Meanwhile, can I ask you to prepare short notes on different polluted related issues like arsenic in Bihar, and also the which are the chemicals causing cancer in Bengal in 500 villages. These short notes also, here to visit to Delhi, they can understand better, and they will be open to you whenever you visit to Delhi. Yeah, you can ask.
So Deepa, Saurabh, thank you so much for this brief sharing. I wanted to ask you, we have Dr. Vora with us also. How can we make this a national kind of movement, basically to get more resources and more attention of people and government across India on this issue of arsenic? So is there some way that we can do this? Because many of your states where arsenic is there falls in the Himalayan River Basin. We have Dr. Vora, who's a doctor here. You have experience of working with medical professionals in your project areas. So how can we, stakeholder-wise, kind of make it a movement is something I wanted to check with you, if that is possible, and that would help alleviate the pain of people suffering and exposed to arsenic.
It's a big problem. We need to launch a campaign, and whenever we meet next time, or whether we can also discuss online, and we can work out a system, we can work out a structure, and raise this issue collectively. So,
take it. Thanks.
Near future, we can.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, doctor, please go ahead. Hello.
This is Sudeep. Yeah, I want to ask a question.
Yes, Sudeep, please go ahead. You can ask.
Mr. Saurabh, thank you for your presentation. I just want to know one fact. What is the total number of people suffering from arsenic-related complications in entire India, or specifically in Eastern India, where you are working? Do you have any data sheet?
I think roughly 20 crore people are, living in the arsenic-affected belt. They are at potential risk of arsenic contamination. 20 crore people, they are at potential risk, and 50% of people, they have already got some health issue.
What is the major health issue? Is it cancer of the kidneys?
Yeah, it's a cancer, because when the internal cycle of damage is over, only then the external manifestation or sole and palms appear.
Thank you.
Yeah, Saurabh, I had a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, you briefly touched upon the causes of arsenic in the groundwater. But my question is, okay, one is a very specific question. To what extent this contamination of surface water is responsible for this? And second is, are we really drinking fossil water in those areas? I don't think so. Fossil area, is there any possibility of people drinking fossil water there with a large amount of arsenic and fluoride content in the water there?
You see, there are many issues. Surface water is not responsible for arsenic contamination. Surface water has bacteriological contamination. Arsenic contamination is mainly in the groundwater, in the Gangetic belt, in both sides, in the northern side and the southern side of the Gangetic river. Or you can say precisely the GMB, Ganga, Meghna, and Brahmaputra river. So it's not the surface water, it's mainly the groundwater which is contaminated due to arsenic.
Okay, thank you, Saurabh. Thank you for your presentation. And may I invite, yeah, you have any question, Prakash?
No, I have very little time.
So please
I
go
want
ahead
to
with your
share-
presentation. Please, you go ahead, sir. Please go ahead with your presentation, sir. And,
5 o'clock, my department is conducting this
Meeting,
session
yeah.
and Zoom session. I am the chief guest for that.
yes, sir, you
And,
have told me.
yeah,
that.
let me
Yeah, please go ahead.
let me congratulate you of you and particularly Deepak ji, because today is World Water Day. Wish you all best wish from my side
Thank you.
for Water Day. And thanks for arranging this important Zoom meeting with few experts and important people of working on river basin. So just I want to remind the water facts in just 1 minute. That is, we all know that 3% of fresh, only 0.3% available for human consumption for entire world. So out of these 0.3%, almost two-thirds is available only in 4 countries. That is Russia, Canada, Brazil, and America. These 4 countries are having almost 0.3% is the total fresh water. Out of that, almost two-thirds is available only in these 4 countries. Remaining 231 countries is sharing only 0.1%. Out of 0.1%, two-thirds is going to agriculture. So just see how the water is. We have to value water. Only 1/3 of 1 point, not 1 point, 0.1, 1/3 of 0.1 is available in the rivers, in the lakes, in entire 231 countries. Because divided this water based on the population or based on the geographical area. See, 16% of Indian world population is in India. They are sharing only 4% of the freshwater reserves of the world. So particularly this year we are water. So let me put some challenges before you. What the challenges we are facing in sending groundwater, recharging groundwater. Yeah, major challenge is sand mafia and sand mining. That is one biggest challenge, because when there is no sand, we cannot expect the water is rechargeable. So second, pollution. Third is over exploitation. Number 4 is deforestation. Number 5 is no or little focus of the government on recharging. These are the 5 major challenges. And of course, the 6th is lack of awareness among the people who are exploiting the water. They don't know the major 5 challenges, 5 or 6 challenges we are facing. I'm sorry, Deepak. Lot of calls are coming.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. I can
I
understand.
will finish in 5 minutes. I will finish in 5 minutes. So what we did, this is a success story of. It is nowhere in the country that 4 to 5 meters or 6 meters groundwater is recharged in this year, particularly in 2021 to 22. So we have announced in the assembly also. We have published it in our all official books. So it was evaluated by the third parties also, third party organizations. So how it is possible in Tamil? There is many research activity in the entire country. To members, there is no big success in other states. So one is Mission Kakatiya. So we have almost 46,000 water bodies. We did 7 to 9 types of. I am getting calls that is.
Okay.
So Deepak ji,
Yeah.
so major activity is desilting the tank beds, particularly tank beds. So this is the traditional wisdom of the people. In olden days, they used to remove that silt and they put in the agriculture field. But whenever the green revolution, so fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, subsidy price, they stopped taking from the. And second is the pot maker. For every rural activity, the pot maker played a big role in olden days. Now the modernization eliminated the pot makers from the villages, from their profession. So they are also unable to get the silt for making pots and other activities. So the silt is related for decades. So in every water body in the country, 3 meters to 5 meters in every water. So then all earlier the water bodies are like cups, they became the saucers. So it is all filled with silt and no water is recharged in traditional water bodies. And the second thing is all the river beds, the silt mafia, they are earning huge money, majorly political leaders and political parties the sand mafia. So that is the second reason we are able to recharge water. But here what we did, we have stopped all the sand removing from the small streams and small lanes. So we have actioned sand only from Krishna and Godavari main rivers. Krishna there is no any sand. In Godavari, we have actioned the sand that is coming from Godavari to Arab and other districts. So we have stopped the removing sand from all the small streams. We started building, constructing check dams. Almost in just 1 year, construct all 200 check dams. These check dams are all a bigger one, 3 crores to source, sometimes 10 crores each check dam. So where we have constructed recharging shafts. Through these recharging shafts, we are sending water. And third thing is we increase the cultivation. Almost 1 crore acres of land in Telangana. Cultivation also, the groundwater will be recharged. And fourth one, we have 230 crore saplings. 230 crore saplings in just 4 years. Because of that also, water, groundwater is recharged. So all these measures we have taken, and almost 200 kilometers of the river stretch of the Godavari, we fill after 365 days. And almost 35 TMC water is stored almost 150 kilometers on the both banks of Godavari. It touched both banks, and huge quantity of water that also contributed to the recharge of the groundwater. Because of all these activities, now we are successful the groundwater 4 meters to 6 meters. So now in Telangana, the groundwater is not invisible, it is visible. Let us invite all UN water experts to see in Telangana, at least they will motivate others to duplicate the Telangana model. Here in every water body, in midsummer, at least in March, April, May, you can find water in every water body, in every well. You can put your mug and get the well water without any support of the thread or bucket. Just you can pick that water with your hand. So it was my dream 20 years ago. When the present chief minister, at that time he was the party president, he asked me, why you are dedicating your time, why you have left for Telangana state? So are you crazy for Telangana? Then I said, I'm not a crazy, sir. And when I was 10 years old, I used to take water with my mug from well, and I had a bath on the bank of that well. I want to see the same situation because all open wells are dried up at that time in 2000. So I want to see the water in the well. I want to pick that water without the support of bucket or thread, so without pump. So now he shown me the water in thousands and lakhs of open wells. It is visible in Telangana, groundwater visible. Just that just I am concluding with this. I wanted to share these few successful models in Telangana. Thank you, Deepak ji, for giving opportunity. And I am available for another 10 minutes for question and answer.
Yes, sir. Actually, I must congratulate you. I have been the
I
first.
want to ask,
Yes.
first question I would like to ask Mr. Prakash Rao ji. See, I have been after Government of Maharashtra and GSD director to make a recharge of all bore wells, all dug wells, whether they are private, domestic, public, for water, farming, farmlands, or for industries, or drinking water. There should be a recharge pit for all these things, and rainwater from a surrounding area should recharge these pits. Whosoever digs a bore well has to be made responsible for recharging it. We have been just extracting water which has been stored for hundreds of years, or if you go deeper, more than 100 years, 1,000 years, if you go to deeper strata. So we have to make all the contractors who do this thing, who do these bore wells, they should be given permission only if they do a recharge pit for that bore well. And it should be made compulsory for all people, whether they are in the city or villages or on the farmlands. Have you tackled this question in Telangana?
No, welcome, sir. Welcome this question. Welcome this suggestion. We will definitely ask our groundwater department. I am the chairperson for the groundwater department. So I will definitely take this suggestion spirit, and it's a wonderful suggestion. We have most by the farmers and owners of the houses, not by any contractor. But we should make it mandatory to the borewell owner. Whenever anybody calls him for digging a borewell, he should insist them to have a recharging pit. So it's a wonderful suggestion. If ordinance or GO brought by the government, then only by the government, then it will be implemented. So it is not there in Volta Act also. So we can insist to put this in the Volta Act. Thanks for your suggestion, sir. Well taken.
Actually, Prakash Rao ji, we should take a oath today on this water day that will insist to all the governments of India, all the state governments and the central government, that they implement. This is our first resolution that all bore wells and dug wells have to have a recharge
in our in our river. Sorry for the interruption. We can keep it in our river manifesto. Definitely, we can do it, and we can send all the resolutions to the respective governments of the different states and also union government. We definitely we can take in this.
Thank you.
Any other one or two questions, because Deepak ji, it is 10 minutes to 5.
Yes, sir. Actually, I had a question, and I put it up here now. The controversy that was generated recently with the government order in Telangana. Would you like to address some on this? Yeah.
Actually, it is that GO is still in existence. The Chief Minister replied a question in Assembly that one person, one MLA, he asked that question, whether are you going to lift the GO 111. So he replied that there is a possibility, but we will certainly we don't at a time don't GO, do some relaxations, and the 3-man committee is pursuing it. And once we get the report, we will implement whatever they suggested. So in my view, it is very, it's not the time to comment on that. Satya didn't understand well, and he has issued the statement in the name of the Rajendra Singh. So I explained to Rajendra Singh the real situation of the GIO and the opinion of the Chief Minister. So in my opinion, earlier the 15% of the land, suppose a person is owning 100 acres, so he can be permitted to 15% of land, that is 15 acres. So like they may relax up to 25% instead of 15%. That is in the mind of the CM. Second thing is those water is Gandipet and Himal Sagar, they served drinking water for Hyderabad population for more than 5 decades. But it increased. Earlier, Hyderabad population was only 4 lakhs. Now the population is 1 crore 42 lakhs. So now unable to fed the give the water only from 2 reservoirs. So we are giving water from Krishna and Godavari main rivers. We have created more than 100 TMC reservoirs. Whenever the water is required, we can draw from more than 150 TMC from various reservoirs. We have made all the pipeline arrangements and everything. Partly this area was not protected. Even when the was implemented in 20 years, all violations are there. Previous governments are not bothered to implement that GIO, and many constructions came up, all resorts and all. So now the water is not potable. Many organizations checked the quality of the water. They suggested it should not be drinkable and we should not give it to the masses. Since 4 years, we have stopped taking water for the drinking water purpose from these reservoirs. Now our Chief Minister thinking that we should delink those reservoirs from the Musi catchment, and we want to fill those reservoirs with Godavari water, and we want to give that water to the Musi rejuvenation instead of drinking water. So these 2 reservoirs going to be dedicated for the Musi river rejuvenation. So it doesn't understand by our people. They suddenly issued the statements on the name of the Singh Bhai. So it has decreased the image of Rajendra Singh in Telangana. So 1 week before we had a national conference, and people have respected Rajendra Singh. But suddenly, due to this statement, he lost some image in Telangana, particularly in the water organizations and water warriors. Except Rajendra Singh, no organization or other people comment on it. It is too early to comment on the GIO. That is a mistake from our side. We can rectify that in future. Thank you, Deepak ji.
Thank you, sir. And nobody doubts your credibility. You have done wonders actually in Telangana. Within 3 years, you can bring up a project like Kaleswaram worth more than 1 lakh crore. So we don't doubt your credibility, but can you give, is this some sort of assurance that the building mafia is not going to benefit because of this? This was the question raised actually. This was the apprehension there, that many constructions won't come up there and the building mafia won't. Yes.
Yeah, actually, now we are not lifting the GIO completely. Maybe it is increased from 15% to 25%. Out of already the violations are there. There is no any vigilance on that. That's why they have taken permission for 15%, 25%. Only increasing this 10%, we can regularize those properties already constructed, and we can get some benefit, budget benefit from the encroachers and violators. And further, I'm definitely assuring you, no one will construct any building on the catchment, particularly those streams, we protect streams and all the catchments. And I am personally up that river. From it is only in 10 kilometers area that GIO is applied only up to 10 kilometers. But I want to take 100 kilometers of the river for rejuvenation. So you can be confident about that.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I remember last time also 2 years ago during the Corona time, you were very fondly talking about the Musi River. And I am sure that under your guidance, it will all be good. And anybody else, if someone has some question to Prakash Rao ji? Anybody?
Yeah. Thank you, Deepak ji. Only 3 minutes left for my meeting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it has always been a pleasure having you. Thank you.
Once again, I am congratulating you for having this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
And now may I invite Dr. Vora. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And all the best to you.
प्रणाम और जागतिक जल दिन की शुभेच्छा। जैसे मैंने पहले कहा और प्रकाश राव जी को कहा कि we should take a pledge to resolve, to save our groundwater, to recharge our groundwater, restore our groundwater storage, and prevent pollution of our groundwater. And if we maintain this, our groundwater pure, drinkable, and good for our farming and cattle and domesticated animals, then only we'll have a healthy life on earth. We will all be a healthy population. So with this, I start my, will you share my PowerPoint presentation, please? The first slide is,
yes, sir, I am just
it
trying.
shows.
Just give me a little time. I am doing it. Yeah, 1 minute.
Okay,
sir.
I'll just talk on that. You continue. You try and show it.
1 minute. I am doing it.
The first slide shows that the problems of the environment pollution or exploits, it affects all the life forms. But today we'll confine ourselves to the health of the human beings. So out of that, we'll go over to water. Water on the earth. See, if we consider the water on the earth, out of 100% of water, 97% is in sea. It's salty water in the oceans and seas of on the earth. So remaining 3%, out of these 3%, which is potable, which is fresh water, which is the source of life for all the flora and fauna. So the whole life depends on these things, except those which are those life, that is flora and fauna, which are in the ocean and sea. But on the land, we have only 3% of water available for life. Out of these 3%, 2% is again locked in ice. On it's locked in ice in the on the South Pole and North Pole, and all the ice caps of mountains, especially Himalayas. So, so what remains is only 1% of water out of whole 100% on the earth. So out of this 1%, only 1/3 is what is you see on the surface of the earth. All the water bodies, everything, whatever is seen on the earth is only 1/3 of 1% of water.
Sorry, doctor,
water.
it is not.
2/3 of this fresh water.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, you try and show it. Meanwhile, I'll keep continuing because we are short of time.
Yes.
I'll go ahead with my talk.
Yeah.
Okay, is it okay now?
Yeah, that's okay. It is not opening problem, sir. The net is very slow.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Please go ahead, doctor, with your presentation.
Yeah. Okay. That is the importance of saving our groundwater, because it is only the source for future generations of not only human beings, but all life on earth, because we have already contaminated and polluted nearly 90% of surface water. So at the same time, we have been polluting our groundwater also.
Can you see
what
the
happens
presentation now, Doctor? Is it
yeah,
visible?
this is the presentation.
Yeah,
So next slide, please.
it is just opening like this only. Very difficult.
Presenter, myself and my colleague, Dr. Suhas Khambe, who is a biochemist and a organic farmer teacher. No. Can you go back to second slide? Still go back.
Where, this one?
No. You are going ahead, my
Okay,
friend.
going back. Okay, going back.
That's it. This one, yeah. See, these are all the components on the earth, environment components which affect us. That is the forest, air, soil, water, food, energy, pollution from the energy sources and from the greenhouse gases and our lifestyle, etc. So out of this, we have chosen today to talk on water and especially the groundwater. Next. Next, please. This is it. So, as I told you, please don't shift so fast.
Should I go back?
No, yeah. This I have talked on that this is, we have to third of Earth water generations for healthy life. Now, what happens if groundwater gets polluted? What are the sources? First is depletion due to over-exploitation. So naturally, we will have less groundwater and we'll have more diseases because of remaining water gets contaminated. Pollution of groundwater with human, see, there are two varieties of pollutants. One is organic, another is inorganic or metallic. So in that also there are two varieties. One is dissolved, another is suspended. So human and animal activities and their excreta get contaminates through of the soil going to the groundwater. Chemical and pollutants from chemical farming, systems, all these things, they are, although on the surface or on the underground pipelines, there is a leakage from there, and this contaminated surface water seeps into the groundwater and it contaminates groundwater. Similarly, leaching from the dumping sites. See, we dump everything on the dumping sites without segregation. See, the ideal solution for managing any waste, the second thing is to segregate at source. So that otherwise what happens is all the chemical pollutants from our households, they get dumped into the dumping ground, and with the this thing over the period of years, there is a leaching of these things, and that contaminates groundwater. You will be surprised if I tell you that the recent use of plastics in the road making, yes, it's a good way of treating plastic pollution. But what will happen in next few hundred years? All these plastic nanoparticles will go down to the groundwater. So what about those future generations? 300-400 years later, they will be getting groundwater which is polluted by nanoparticles of these plastics. So next thing is mines and infrastructural development. This is all of our creation. All these pollutions is creation of Homo sapiens. We are responsible for polluting our waters and exploiting. So mines, we have to be so careful that the dust or the particles excavated from this thing do not get mixed into our surface water or groundwater. And similarly, road making, constructing our buildings, wherever we use cement, all this manufacturing and construction, that all these things, particles go down into the groundwater. Next. Now let us see what are the health hazards from these pollutants. One by one we'll go. See, health hazards from polluted water affect all ages of human beings. They get recurrent attacks of gastroenteritis or dysfunction of the digestive system, and they get malnutrition. Diabetes, metabolism, chronic lung disease, osteoporosis, weak bones, and mental illness. Next. So diseases due to water pollution. Now, as we saw a general category of how it affects the children as well as adults, now we can divide them into bacterial, viral, and parasitic diseases of the contaminated water. So this all comes from either contaminated human animal excreta or seepage groundwater. What you get are these diseases, illnesses. In a village, you may get few cases there, but few cases of typhoid per year or few cases of infectious hepatitis. That is called appearances. But when it becomes endemic, for example, I'll give example of my town, Sangh. It's a district place. And it has been known for years to have endemic incidents of viral infective hepatitis. It is there. It's a large number of population getting infective hepatitis. And then they suffer from liver cirrhosis, liver cancer, etc. And then you have epidemics of cholera. Epidemics of cholera is mainly concerned with surface water. I understand that. But our groundwater gets contaminated from the broken or rusted drainage pipes underneath our roads or underneath our city roads. It seeps through to the groundwater. So it is our which is taking those bacteria and viruses from or ground, and we pull them. We draw that water to this and drink it, because sometimes no other way. So what the I'll just give example. Gastroenteritis, bacterial or amoebic, typhoid, parasitic, again a bacterial disease, infective hepatitis, I just outed the viral thing, viral infection. Next. Then we come to particulate matter, which are either dissolved or suspended. See, now, after green revolution, what has happened is we have sold ourselves chemical farming, which is really a curse to sell, I would say. Chemical farming, although it has saved several lives and from deaths, but it has exposed the whole population of the world to long-term effects of hazardous effects of pollution on our health and diseases due to pollution. And
Hello, I think we have lost Dr. Vora. There's some internet connectivity issue. Yeah, he is there again. Yeah.
See, I had lost my net here.
Yeah.
So, where we get these chemical pollutants, and what are these? These are chemicals like chlorine, sulfates, nitrates, fluorides, mercury, lead, selenium, copper, arsenic, fuels, oils, and insecticides, pesticides, and fertilizers all pollute our groundwater due to sewage. Whatever he is spraying on the that only that surprisingly only 1% of insecticide or pesticides is used to kill the pest. Remaining 90% air or gets dissolved in the water which is on the surface of the farm, or slowly seeps into the soil, and ultimately it gets into your food. It gets into the produce, whether it is grains or fruits or whatever, and that way it reaches us. Chemical pollutants cause genetic, non-communicable, autoimmune diseases, metabolic diseases. So these are all just groups of diseases. But for example, it causes infertility. Anomalies means the baby in the womb gets different birth defects. Then when they are old enough, either children or adults, they would get cancers, the colitis, fluorosis causing different effects. I will come to that later. Hypertension, heart disease, renal, neurological. See, such a vast, we have invited on our species through our own greed for more produce from the farm in shorter time. We have all carbon from the soil, we have polluted it, we have made all these things alkaline. They are all next, please. So, addition of impurities and nitrates in the groundwater, clay, salt, humus, earth, pH, all cause aesthetically non-acceptable hardness, dissolve, affect gastrointestinal by bacteria. Next.
There seems again some problem on his end. We'll wait. Yeah. Actually, my internet connection is unstable. Doctor, is he there? I think there is some issue, internet connectivity issue with him. I'll just call him up and check with him. Yeah, he is there. Yes, doctor, we had lost you. Is he joining? Yes, doctor, welcome. Please.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I'll finish.
Yeah.
I'll finish fast. It's up to you how fast you show the slides. I'll finish fast.
No, it's okay, sir. We all are enjoying your slides, sir. It's all hard work and very comprehensive that you have.
Okay. Next,
Yeah.
next, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, next please. Now we'll take elements, metals one by one. See, here we have nitrates, and I have given everywhere what is the maximum permissible limit of that solvent or that metal in the water. It's only if it is less than 20 parts per million, then it's okay. But if it goes beyond that, no. Let's have that. Can I have that slide?
Yeah, we can have. Which one? This one? This one?
Yes.
Doctor, there is some connectivity issue.
Yeah.
Doctor, you have some connectivity issue.
Okay.
What I suggest that you switch off your video, then it will be stable, more stable. We can hear you.
Okay. Right. I have switched off the video.
Yeah, you can go ahead. Yeah.
Just one slide back, please.
Sorry?
It has got nitrate in the beginning. Nitrate.
Yeah.
Arsenic. Mr. Saurabh has talked so much on arsenic. I will not talk more. Only I will say that it causes skin diseases, it causes arsenosis, cancer of the skin, and also heart diseases. Now, come to nitrate, the limit should be less than 20 ppm.
Doctor, your voice is echoing.
Then chloride.
Yeah.
I'll stop.
Yeah. Please go ahead, doctor.
Sorry. Now it's okay.
Yeah.
Chlorides cause adverse effect on kidney function, hypertension and pressure on the heart, blood vessels and brain. Then we come to fluorides. The limit is only 0.8 to 1 ppm. And high concentration of fluorides causes dental and skeletal fluorosis. Means it makes teeth and bones weak. But concentration less than 0.8 milligram will result into dental caries. So both ways it is going to affect us. Next. Sulfates, the limit is it should be less than 200 ppm. Otherwise, high concentration of sulfates will cause laxative effect. That means it will cause dysentery. Ammonia will cause eye irritation. Iron ppm, which should be less than 0.3 ppm, and manganese should be less than 0.5 ppm. So above these levels, iron is toxic to human health. At concentration exceeding 0.15 milligram per liter, manganese imparts undesirable taste. Presence of excess of iron and manganese in water causes discoloration, turbidity, and deposits. Iron and manganese bearing water have astringent, metallic, or bitter taste. Manganese concentration ranging from 8 to 14 milligram per liter is toxic to human beings. Next. Arsenic, as our friend has told us, that it causes skin diseases, skin cancer, kidney cancer, and heart diseases. Heavy metals like cadmium, lead, mercury, the limit is less than 0.001 ppm. So if it exists, we get especially and mercury, they are also. Gas, so that is a fuel with lead, and that we call nervous activity of the liver. Now we come to
Next slide.
slide that their changes and
This one.
similar
Some problem, doctor? We can't hear you. Your internet. Yeah. We have again lost doctor, I think, Dr. Vora.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So pollutant, when it enters your body, either through air, through your food, through your water, or through your skin, it all gets into our system, and we cannot excrete it because our system during evolution over last thousands of, sorry, a lakh of 2-3 lakhs of years, it has not, it was not exposed to these chemicals, so it has got no system, no enzymes to metabolize it, degrade it, and excrete it from your kidneys or through your lungs. So that gets deposited into our fat cells. See, fat cells are just storage of energy. So this chemical pollutants are dumped into that fat cell. Go and stay there. Let us see what happens. But what happens is there are so many organs in our body which have high concentration of fat cells, like our brain, our thyroid, our lungs, our heart, our kidneys, our liver, all endocrine systems, gametes. So all they have a lot of fat cells in them. So naturally, depending on my genetic framework, whether my kidneys are susceptible, or whether my liver is susceptible, or whether my brain is susceptible, then those pollutants which are stored in my fat cells in that organ will cause cancer, or it will affect the function of that organ. Similarly, if it goes to gonads, means the reproductive cells, then it may cause infertility, it may cause birth defects in the baby, or if it, as I said, it can cause cancer in different systems of the body, or it will compromise our immunity. When it compromises my immunity, I am more likely to get infections of all my systems, respiratory system, digestive system, excretory system, any system can get affected because of low immunity. What has happened in COVID? Those who had low immunity, they got severe COVID. Those who were sturdy and they had lot of immunity because of exposure to many pollutants, many organisms in the atmosphere, they didn't suffer so much from COVID. So infections, then skin infections, then it can affect our brains or nervous system. It can affect our mind. We get psychiatric conditions. We get neurological conditions. Then we can get allergic symptoms. Allergy produced due to these pollutants will cause our rhinitis, means we sneeze, we get asthma, we get eruptions on our skin, we get cough, and sometimes what happens is these pollutants can cause autoimmune diseases. What is this autoimmune disease? Means they produce antibodies against our own proteins. So I get arthritis, I get different myalgias, and my locomotor system gets affected because of this autoimmune. And suppose you are a non-vegetarian, you are going to get all these pollutants, especially bacterial pollutants or metallic pollutants in excess, because that gets concentrated in that animal, and then you eat that or you drink animal milk. Kai? Jaun ye? हो. त्याला विचार काय झाले ते अडचण काय विचार. Sorry, I had some interruption at home. And next one, please. Next one.
Yeah.
So this is the whole theory behind pollution causes health hazards. So once you understand that, you will not question why this is affecting me, because it is stored in your fat cells. Wherever the fat cells are there, that organ will get affected. So now we are coming towards the end of our presentation. No, not yet. So Mahatma Gandhi ji said that now this is the punchline for all our environmental topics, all environmental lectures, because whatever we are causing to the nature, whatever we are affecting our environment, it is all due to human greed. So Gandhiji said about 100 years ago that there is enough on the earth for everyone's need. Here he means not everyone means every human being, but every life form, whether it is a tree or it's a butterfly or a snake or a tiger or a fish, all. एक मिनिट झालं सर. So Deepak, have the last slide, that one.
Which one? Systematic and last slide. Okay.
Yes, this one.
Yeah.
There is enough on the earth for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. And therefore, health of human being depends on health of Mother Nature. And today we can say one of the offsprings of Mother Nature, that is water. So let us see that water is maintained in its natural form. It has its rights, natural rights. We allow it to flow freely, allow it to be unpolluted. So be fully aware of the grave consequences of groundwater pollution causing hazards to human health, and make government and people aware of to change this greedy lifestyle. Let us change this. And as I said to V. Prakash ji, that let us resolve today, at least one by one. First resolution should be we recharge our groundwater with rainwater harvesting. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.
We totally agree with your resolution, sir, and we all take this resolution. We all resolve to do this in our own individual capacity, whatever is possible. And
I'm ready to answer any questions.
Yes.
Just give me half a minute.
Yeah.
Till I sort out something at home.
Okay, let me also make one clarification. Dr. S.K. Sinha is with us, but in his individual capacity, not in an official capacity. He is the Director Hydrology at the Central Water Commission. And because you see, there is a lot of process in getting permission to talk in some events. And because of the last 3 days, holidays were there, so it got delayed. But he is kind enough to join us and be part of this deliberation. He can ask questions. We are not going to quote him, of course. And and if he has questions, and I am sure that in his official capacity, he will take forward whatever happened here. Is it okay, Dr. Sinha?
पाठवले म्हणून डॉक्टर नंबर पाठवलाय अभयला साधा SMS केलाय म्हणून.
Any question for Dr. Ravindra Vohra? It is an excellent presentation, Doctor. All your hard work, it shows here, and the extensive research that you have done, and you have pinpointed the diseases. This is really very commendable. Any question anyone has? Am I audible to all? Saurabh has some question.
Yeah, I would like some question from Saurabh. How they are tackling arsenic poisoning in Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha.
Deepak, may I please intervene? I need to go.
No.
So
You have
first
to
we were having question answers at the end.
Okay, sure. Then please go ahead. I'm sorry about it. Yeah. Indiraji, please go
because,
ahead. Let me introduce Indiraji to others
you
also.
are tending to forget me, Deepak. How can you?
I am not forgetting you. The sweet things comes at the last only. Yeah, that's why I was keeping you for the last. Yeah.
I just quickly start.
Yeah. So
May I
Indiraji.
start?
Yeah, Indiraji is a very well-known environmentalist and author. She has authored books, and she is also the chair of Ganga River Basin Council, which comprises 22 states. Please, Indiraji, please go ahead.
Yeah. So good evening to everybody. I'm speaking at the end of the program. I am the chair of the Indian Himalayan River Basin Council, and I also take great pleasure in being a contributor to Global Bihari. Deepak very kindly gives me that space.
Today also
just quickly,
her article is there, and everyone must read that article. It is there.
Yeah, so just quickly I will say, like I mentioned before, I'm actually right now today in Agartala trying to kickstart the program on World Water Day in the state. So we went to the source of a river called the Howrah River, which is a 51-kilometer long river, and which flows through Agartala town, and then it goes on to Bangladesh. So we're trying to understand the challenges facing this river. So we did a river yatra today. As we all know, the theme of World Water Day this time is groundwater, making the invisible visible. And I think if we look, we actually, groundwater is visible to us in various forms. Only sometimes we choose to ignore it. For example, it's there in the rural drinking water supply. Almost 85% of rural water supply comes from groundwater. It is there in the food we eat. About 60% of our food comes from groundwater. It is there in the diseases that we see, which Saurabh spoke about and Dr. Vohra spoke about. It is there in the dried wells that we see sometimes. It's also there in the distress migration that we see from villages to urban areas. So it is visible in various forms. It manifests, its lack of groundwater manifests itself in many forms. Sometimes we choose to ignore it, and sometimes we choose to appreciate it. I'd just like to quickly say what we are doing in the Indian Himalayan River Basin Council. Our main work here is basically to link the hearts, minds, and action of people with rivers for rejuvenation of people and society. And here I think it's also important to realize the dynamic and symbiotic relationship between groundwater and surface water and rivers. If we see, for example, the work of Tarun, Bharat, Sangh, where rivers have been revived, one of the main ways that was done was by recharging the groundwater aquifers, by building structures that allowed recharge of groundwater. So this dynamic relationship between the groundwater and surface water, which had snapped through the efforts of water conservation, this relationship again became alive and vibrant. And that is why we had base flows in the river and we had perennial flow in the rivers. So I think the work of a council is also going to be how we make this groundwater visible by recharging the groundwater aquifers so that our surface water bodies, so that our springs, our streams and rivers are able to flow. And this dynamic relationship is able to be restored. So I think it's important to realize the dynamic relationship and look at water in the entire perspective. You cannot look at one without looking at the other. Also, I think just like to highlight one point that Saurabh said, that for arsenic treatment, no treatment was really effective. What is better is that we can look at surface water body, which is could be contaminated by, if it's contaminated by microbial contamination, then that's easy to remove. But we have to see that other pollutants don't get into our surface water bodies, and then from there, ultimately into our groundwater. So I'll stop here now, Deepak. Thank you for having me here today, and I hope we'll have more positive stories as we go along.
Thank you very much. It was very short and sweet, but we wanted to hear much more from you, Indira, with your experience and notes that you
Deepak,
have.
I have one question for Dr. Indira.
Okay, please go ahead.
Go ahead.
Dr. Indira, thank you for your presentation. Could you quantify the council's work in terms of money spent in the Himalayan river basin? I'm talking of data, financial data.
No, are you talking of money spent by the council, or are you talking about money spent by the government? Because we are a new council and we are a network. We started about 5 months ago. So right now we're trying to build up this network in the different states and do form families along the different rivers. So that's the kind of stage that we are in now. If you're talking about the government, then I can collate the data and then give it to you later, because it's there on their various websites. They recently announced a huge amount of money for river rejuvenation. And I think some of us need to review that project report and see whether it's going to be money spent on actually rejuvenating the rivers or money spent on beautification of the river banks, because that will not really make the water bodies alive.
Actually, I should clarify, Sudeep, here that this council is not backed by the government. Actually, it is an initiative by individuals who have come together to take it in their hands. So this budget is not government budget. They all are. This is all actually what we call it decentralized. This thing movement, okay, by the people.
So this is a movement of noble and charitable environmentalists.
Yeah, that is the fact. That is the truth. This is not.
Yes, to provide support and voice to everybody, because sometimes people tend, these are battles that are fought in individual level, single level. So if you have a collective voice, then maybe people in power and who make policies would listen and make the appropriate changes in their programs.
Ma'am, one last question. What is the total number of area in square kilometers that you're dealing with in Himalaya?
So this covers, it covers about 23 different states. So it covers the states in the Himalayan, in the hill ranges. That is, I think, 12 states and 1 union territory. And then there are the states in the plains like UP, Bihar and West Bengal and these other states. Some of these are shared by the peninsular rivers. The main big rivers are the Ganga, Brahmaputra, Bharat and the Tista. And then there are tributaries and distributaries of these rivers. We will be focusing on the smaller streams and rivers because that's easier to rejuvenate, that is closer to people. It helps them faster. And also they feed into the larger rivers. So if you add up all the states where these rivers flow, then that would be the area.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful insights.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? I think there are some students who have done their environmental engineering courses here. At least I find 3 of them. Do they have any question? They are the youngsters, they are the future. They must be having questions. They can ask questions to the panelists. Any one of you?
Deepak sir, one small question.
Yeah.
Regarding the aquifer, one of our eminent guests has raised a very good question to Madam, that what are the challenges with concern to aquifer? So if, especially in that hilly terrain, where the percolation and that permeability rate are very, very less.
So your question is addressed to whom?
The name I am missing.
You want me to answer that question? I can answer that.
I will be glad.
Should I go ahead, Indira?
Actually, I think that madam is not here.
No, she is not there.
She has left out.
She is from the groundwater,
Yeah,
Central Groundwater Board. She had other commitments, but still,
Yeah,
despite
Bangalore,
because
Bangalore.
today is a day when everyone wants speakers and dignitaries on the dais.
Yeah.
Okay. The point is, you see, that is what
Very
today also when during my speech here in Dharwad, I mentioned about this thing. You see, in Karnataka, you take the texture of Karnataka actually. Hello, am I?
Yeah, you are audible.
You see here, 90% of the land here is actually rocky. So what happens here? What should be the depth of your groundwater? This is about hardly 100 or 200 feet. It is available on top. But after that, you need to locate those porous structure from where it can go down, further down. So how will you do that? How will you manage that thing? So here is where the traditional wisdom, the local community, if you are involving them, they are of great help. And they can tell you, because, and this is where you have to tap those people, village elderly. You go and elder person, you go there, you have to ask them exactly. They won't say if you are asking them, because they may not know, because their understanding of certain things will be different than what our understanding is. So it is something like exit poll, how you conduct an exit poll. You prepare the questionnaire, you go there and you come to a conclusion. Okay, according to his forefathers used to do it like this, he used to do. Then you come to a conclusion, and then you are able to pinpoint. And unless you involve the community, it is not possible, because you go to the, for a single government officer, it is practically impossible to travel to each and every your villages and find out the places and locate the things. You have to involve the community here. That is one part. And second part here is that to mobilize this community, how will you go about it? And that was the question exactly asked by me to the lady also, Dr. Shyama. And this is where I think you have to take a lot of efforts you need, because even with the scientific advances, if you are looking at the satellites and all, the satellite picture can show you certain things, but that cannot go to that depth. You are an engineer, you know about it, Janendra. So this is what, unless you involve this decentralized community-based water management, that is what Indiraji is doing, Dr. Indiraji is doing, and others are also doing. So this is very important, and this is where this should be the thrust area, and this is where I think persons like Dr. S.K. Sinha from Central Water Commission, if they can recommend these things and incentivize these things, that will be of great help. Thank you, General, for raising this question. Am I okay? Are you okay with my answer, or do you have any other question?
Yeah. Okay.
Anybody who wants to add to this? Is it okay? Any other question? So thank you very much for joining here at such a short notice, and we could do it. And please keep reading Global Bihari. It is all about issue-based journalism. It is, and credible journalism. I thank each one of you for joining. Thank you very much.
Just one thing I would like to add, Mr. Parvatiyar.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to leave in the middle to attend some meeting.
Yes.
So, but a large part of the deliberation I was a part of.
Yes.
So it was definitely a good interaction that happened today. You've taken a good initiative. One of the things that I would like to point out is that you being in the journalism, you have a role to play, because water, making people aware about water, that is a big part of the entire management of water resources. Different water resources organizations under central government or state government, they are playing a role, but you have a different role to play, making people aware. That is one area where the government initiatives lack. They find it difficult to reach out to the last person who is a stakeholder, and he's a stakeholder and he has a big interest, like the farmer using the water, whether it's surface water or groundwater, or the the user sitting in the remotest corner of the country using the tap water. So you can understand, I am pointing to the conservation of water. That is one area which is largely untouched by most of the government organizations, most of the government departments. So you have mass media platforms like yours, you can play a good role. So making people aware how to minimize the losses of water, how to minimize the wastage of water, and how to conserve water. These are the things. And also sensitizing policy makers about possibilities and avenues to deal with the climate change issues and other things. So you have a role to play. So probably it's not just engineering technicalities or complexities which is required to deal with water. You being into the journalism, you have a big role to play. So I congratulate you on this World Water Day and for taking this initiative, and my best wishes for you.
Thank you, Dr. Sinha, for your participation here and listening to all the points. And obviously, you have raised a very pertinent question about the role of a journalist should be. But the point here again, what I would like to raise is sharing of data. Yesterday also, I was discussing the same question with some experts here in Dharwad. I am here in Dharwad, and what I could gather is that the government is, many officers, they are very reluctant in sharing the data, and this is our experience also, because there could be some political aspersion, some these things are there, the fear is there, okay, of getting victimized by the political boss or something. So I think there also some thorough soul searching should be there, how to get access to data. And so far as my experience is there, I have found many the very friendly officers who have gone out of their way to help me, but this is not the case all the time and with all the officers. So I think there has to be some policy decision on sharing of data. With digitalization, of course, some improvement has been done, but we can see that improvement. But I think here also, if we can sit together and chalk out certain these type of issues, this will be for the larger benefit of the people and for the community as well. If you have any question, you may ask me, sir. Should we conclude the session? I thank you on behalf of myself, on behalf of Global Bihari and the entire team for being with us on this very important day and on this very important issue. Water is life, and without water, we cannot imagine life on Earth. And we can look at the situation which we are facing right now. All the wars, all these trouble spots in the world, the root cause is water. Water is very important for life, and I thank you everyone that you all are associated with this very great cause of water and drink clean water. Thank you very much. So I conclude this session.